What were we just talking about? Sorry, I was just.
This the stupidification
Oh
of
yeah, yeah,
society.
yeah. And it's like sometimes people think they're like, oh, the CIA got you, Big Bear, or something. I'm like, no, it's just incompetence. The deltas have been replaced by these incompetent, awful minority hires, or a bot or an app, and now nothing works, and it's just becoming total shit. And I'm seeing it all the time. It's like that with chainsaws. Like when we're doing tree work, the old steel chainsaw was awesome, and now every new generation of chainsaw sucks. It's the same with Final Cut Pro, with editing software. It's just without logos, without order, everything is just starting to suck.
Well, they've actually found that in Western countries, the level of measured intelligence is declining. In Cuckservative, I estimated that the average IQ of the United States has fallen about 10 points since 1965. And there's a couple different factors involved. One of them, obviously, is immigration.
Yeah.
If you bring in people with 70, 75 IQs, the average is going to fall. But also, it's because the encouragement of young women, encouraging them to go to university, have careers, and start families later. The smarter women are having fewer and fewer children. I think 2/3 of the top quintile of intelligence in Germany have no children at all. So we're living in a society that is literally dysgenic. It's the opposite of eugenics, which, since eugenics are bad, we're told, apparently dysgenics is good. Of course, that means that eventually we're not only going to have non-functioning Skype, we're going to lose things like indoor plumbing.
Oh yeah, I was worried about getting on an airplane because it's not that Hillary Clinton's going to suicide me; it's that it's just going to fall out of the sky. I'm just, I'm just worried that people are getting so stupid. And you're absolutely right. And this has been going on for so long now. The smartest women just started taking birth control pills and just limiting their ability to procreate. And the dumbest people seem to be breeding like absolute rabbits. And the government takes all the money from the smart people and gives it to the dumb people so that they can have as many children as possible. And now those people are going to be the ones flying our planes.
Yeah, I think that Mike Judge was more accurate than he knew when he made the movie Idiocracy. It was so funny the first time I saw it, but it's not that funny anymore. Now you're just thinking, this could be what our grandchildren are going to be suffering through. And then you think, on the other hand, our grandchildren might look like gods in comparison, just because they have the ability to read.
Right, exactly. And I just think that the society is becoming split. I think like guys like us are having large families, and we're going to have high IQ children. And then you're going to have, a giant amount of people that have absolutely retarded children. And I think you're just going to have a society where there's people that can, we almost seem clairvoyant simply because we can algorithmically predict a day in advance. We're not goldfish. And it
Right.
just seems to have this stratification effect with society, and some people also just, the education system is becoming more and more ridiculous, where someone with an IQ 20, 30 points lower than us could actually be more capable if given, I had a horrible public education upbringing, but if you were taught Aristotle and you were taught basically the education of 1900 America, you could outperform someone like me who was taught, just over and over again, Columbus sailed the ocean blue in 1492, the Nina, the Pinta, the Santa Maria. It's like, what's dialectic mean? They're like, get out of here, retard. If you don't have those tools, you can't think. And I think that's why it's important for guys like us to make unauthorized.tv and to put on the Middle Ages professor and, gardening and the dark stream and everything, so that young people have a shot at learning anything that isn't just a total propagated lie.
Well, that's why we're going to be publishing the public domain Collier Junior Classics. You can still get them at a used bookstore and that sort of thing, but we're going to republish them. Fortunately, some other folks have already picked it up and they're publishing them in electronic form. But we're going to eventually get them out, a complete set of them, because I realized that my education was not really that great either. But because my parents had set me up with such a great family library, that and the Collier Junior Classics had everything from Leonidas and the 300 at Thermopylae. It had the death of Socrates. Didn't have much actual Aristotle, but had a lot of stuff from the Scandinavian Eddas and Beowulf. And so I had the genesis of a classical education, even though at school we were cutting out pictures of dinosaurs.
Dude, I relate so much to that. At home, it was my mother reading to me when I was a kid, C.S. Lewis, Dark is Rising, all this stuff, even before I could read. Dark is Rising was later, but, we had books everywhere. My dad wrote his dissertation on Upton Sinclair, who I now think is a bit of a troublemaker, but back then, I would take their college tests, and then I go into school where my teacher would be the drunk cousin of the Monsignor who, would like punch a kid. It was just, it wasn't, I think that's what made us more artistic type, like whether it's writing or comedy or different types of music that we've engaged in. There's that weird split that seems to happen when your home life has logos and education, and then you go out into the world and it's just this psychotic world of just violence. It makes you kind of creative, I think, almost.
Yeah, it's really a challenge to try to figure out, how you help your kids navigate that, because
right.
Like sometimes I'll be talking I would be talking to my son when he was younger, and he said, I don't know how to talk to my football team, my soccer team. They just talk about nothing. And, like one of them showed them his math homework for some reason. And, my son inadvertently laughed because, he was doing this like ridiculously high level college stuff, 300 level stuff. And these kids were doing like, 5th grade math. Now that doesn't make you popular.
Right.
That doesn't make life easy for you. And yet you have to learn how to navigate it. You have to learn how to not hold people in contempt simply because they don't have some of the same advantages that you had, whether it's genetics or whether it's just the way that your parents bring you up or whatever it is.